Hi everyone, welcome to the DFM presentation. My name is John Odiambo. I have over 20 years experience in the product design and manufacturing space. So, what is DFM, or what is design for manufacturing? DFM is the process of designing parts, components, or products for ease of manufacturing with the end goal of making a better product at a lower cost. This is done by simplifying, optimizing, and refining the product design. Why adopt DFM for your industry? Most cost-saving opportunities happen at the design stage. 70 to 80% of opportunities happen at the design stage. Only 20 to 30% of opportunities can be realized at the manufacturing stage. Are you surprised that you don't hear more about DFM or DFMA? Why do you think this is the case? DFM and DFMA calls for simplicity, which also means removing unnecessary complexities. This requires us to come up with clever solutions which involve a lot of creativity and also thinking outside the box. We are creatures of habit and are safer staying within our comfort zones. Problem solving requires you to get outside your comfort zone. I'll repeat that. Problem solving requires you to get outside your comfort zone. Now you know. And just remember, the vendor is not the problem. For this presentation, we're going to use a part that has regular features. It has a few holes, has some holes on top, it has a deep pocket, it has a flange, there's another slot in the front. And now we have an original design, and the part is going to undergo a DFM, and then it's going to get revised. And this is going to be our discussion for this presentation today. So we're going to use this part as an example for the discussion. Also, just remember that DFMA is in two parts. So we have, right now in this presentation, I'm just covering the DFM, which is looking at a part that's made to be machined, like made for like a milling machine. So it's going to have some holes, it's going to have some features that require an end mill. And the second part is the DFMA, that's designed for assembly. And for example, this the representation on your screen right now just shows, like, for example, how you can have the original design had 24 parts. It has been redesigned to have only 2 parts, and then it also had like 8 different parts, multiple manufacturing and assembly, and now it has 2 manufacturing processes. I mean, the new one has only 2 manufacturing processes and 1 assembly step. A later video is going to cover the DFMA. For now, we're only covering the DFM. Part length, height, and width. The overall length of the original design is plus or minus 1/1000. Not necessarily to be this tight unless this length has other functions. For example, it fits into a tight spot inside a tray or something. But still, this plus 1 or minus 1 is still way too tight. So the takeaway here is tight tolerances that not necessarily equate to a better part. And it takes work to achieve this tolerance. It will take work to achieve this tight tolerance. So the part length, height, and width are normally left open. For example, here we just have left the 6 point, like 2 decimal place, and also the height and the width is left at 2 decimal places. So only tighten the tolerance if it's necessary, if there's a necessary function for that tolerance to be tight. Now the height and the width are also 3.2. Here, pay attention to the available stock sizes. Use part sizes that require minimum work to attain, which means less material waste. So the stock sizes will normally come in a whole number, maybe like 3, 2, 4, and sometimes they go to half sizes, or they might even go to like 3, 3.25. But always check before you design. Before you come up with a hard number, check and always design to the values that require minimal work to achieve. Because remember, that waste is being paid for by somebody. The waste is not free. It's not going away for free. That waste has been paid for. So you minimize that. Flange, round, and chamfer. Avoid long and thin features. This type of features are likely to vibrate. The feature also requires a tool long enough to have the 2-inch reach. The space, which is 0.44, the slot here, this space will not accommodate a larger diameter tool that has the 2-inch reach. So realize that these features can be attained using a wire EDM. But that now introduces multiple setups, which in turn introduce new complexities and add up to the cost of your part. On the redesigned part, the shorter and wider flange is more machine friendly. The increase of the 144 slot to 2.6 slot now means that a larger tool, which is more stable, could be used. The original part has a radius call out on the top, which is 100 thousandths radius. This is the radius around the top. This feature requires a 100 thousandths radius form tool that is specifically made for that job. So it requires a special. It could be a tool that's within the shop, but the only one tool can realize this feature here. On the redesign, a chamfer has been called out as 45 by 100 thousandths. Calling out a 45 by length chamfer is much more machine friendly because a standard 45 degree chamfer tool can produce different chamfer lengths. Holes and rounds. The 1/4 tapped blind hole is made up to a depth of 1.5. It is preferable to make the tapped holes through. The material will exit the hole easily. Blind holes can also trap unwanted material and can cause cleanability issues, especially within the medical industry. The 2.6 plus or minus tolerance hole, which is a 1/4 screw hole clearance, might require an extra reaming operation to attain. While on the redesign, the 2.61 plus 5 minus 5 is attainable by using a readily available G-size standard drill. This information can be found within the machinist's handbook, and also the drill charts can be used. Remember, any extra operation adds up to the cogs and eats up your profit margin. The addition of the 0.28 radius will all of a sudden allow the use of a good size end mill operation to machine out the pocket. The original design has sharp internal corners that might have required a ram EDM operation to attain, and that is an extra expense and also extra setups. The cutting tool approaches the workpiece at a 90-degree orientation. The original part will have to undergo a second setup to achieve that orientation. The corners of the internal features would also need to be rounded in order to use an end mill to achieve those features. If we look at the redesign, if the feature is redesigned as shown, then the entire part can be achieved within one setup, and unnecessary complexities which lead to more expenses can be avoided. Also pay attention to the feature tolerancing and increase tolerance only when required. For example, to clear a mating part. Also pay attention to which dimensions are driving and which ones are being referenced to ensure that your design intent is maintained. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also send your comments and thoughts. Check out my other YouTube videos. I have added the links to the description.